Thank you, Martin. Great to be here again. Great to see so many people here. Like Paula, I'm suffering from a little bit of a problem with my voice at the moment, which is all down to how good a night we had last night and how much talking I did and a little bit of drinking maybe. So my voice is also a bit croaky, but let's see where we get to. So I'd like to start by again thanking Elcrig. So thanking Martin, thanking Paula, thanking Kerry and Suzanne and Keely and Carla and the rest of Elcrig, Alec and Paul who does comms for TTF. Thank you for putting on another great couple of days, and it will be a great couple of days. I'd also like to thank Councillor Burdess and John for again hosting us in Blackpool and talking about all the great things that are happening here and giving us such a fantastic venue. There aren't many towns you could come to and have a venue like this. And the new extension that we're now in, which was being built last time we were here, is fantastic. It's really good. It's going to be a really good couple of days. So why am I here? And those of you that are keenly watching your agenda will see that I'm not actually due to be on stage at the moment, but here I am. And as Paula said, we had a bit of a gap in the agenda with Andy Burnham having maybe other things to do today. And that felt like a great opportunity for me as Department for Transport to just stand up and talk to you a little bit about why we're here. And I'm here, I have colleagues here, I have Tim who works with Matt Eglinton, who many of you know is here, Laura is here who's speaking tomorrow. We have a couple of other people from DFT in the room as well. So we've brought quite a few people here, and why have we done that? Well, we've done that because we see this as one of the key events of the year to allow us to get together and talk about technology and innovation and highway maintenance and all the other things we do around the transport network. It's vitally important that we as DFT speak to you as the local authorities and the suppliers, and it's vitally important that we have a conversation so you understand what we're trying to do, what we're trying to deliver in terms of the bigger picture, in terms of improving transport, in terms of net zero, in terms of thinking about decarb and electric vehicles, in terms of thinking about access to the road network, in terms of supporting motorists, which we are again thinking about, in terms of how we work with Active Travel England and how we support various modes and all that kind of high-level policy stuff that we think about. It only gets so far if we don't take the community with us. We have to take the local authorities with us. We have to take the suppliers with us. We have to know that you understand, like we understand, what we're trying to achieve, that the right products are being built and sold and procured, because together that's how we will deliver transport. Transport is quite interesting in that government obviously has a very large interest in transport. Transport is very important for how the country operates, but we actually, certainly for road transport, we personally operate very little of it. Most of it is in the gift of the local authorities, many of you who are in the room. So it's important, it's absolutely vital that we're all moving together, that we're all pointing in the same direction and moving together. So it's great to be here. It's also very important for us because it allows us to understand what's happening. John spoke earlier about the challenges that Blackpool's facing, and many of you are facing around revenue budgets, around cuts. We hear of local authorities getting into real financial difficulty, and that's really, really hard to hear, but it's where we are. And events like this allow us to better understand that. They allow us to better understand what's happening in the supplier community. They allow us to understand what's happening in terms of products and services. Because by understanding that, by understanding the art of the possible, that makes it easy for us as policymakers to understand what we can actually do, what can we actually deliver, what should our aspiration be for the coming few years. So it's great to be here. It's great to be here again. It's great to see a bigger audience than we've ever had before. I think great. Congratulations to Elcrig in being able to do that and just make this a bigger and better event. So, many of you that were here last year will have heard me talk about what we think the future may look like. And by the future, I don't mean 20 years from now. I don't mean when we're all traveling on nuclear-powered space hoppers or whatever it is Google will be selling us in 30 years' time. I mean the future as in now to the next 10 years. The future in terms of what we should be thinking about when we procure goods and services now, when we think about policy, when we think about local aspiration now, what should we be aiming to do? And I spoke quite widely about this last year, and I talked about the fact that we know that connected vehicles are coming. We know that the vehicle fleet is getting more and more capable. We know that micromobility is coming. We know that the way that we deliver public transport services is going to change, and we will see a migration away from the use of the traditional 60-seat diesel bus to much more innovative forms of transport that are demand responsive, that bring in elements of mobility as a service. We know all that is coming. And it's important that we all understand that, and we all understand where technology is going, because not only does technology potentially allow us to deliver better services for the public, which it should do, and meet the public's desire for new technology, and the public do have a desire to do things better. We know by the take-up of mobile phones, by the fact that we've all seen the migration from traditional ways of buying things in the shops that we used to do, to buying things online, to using our phones more, to using online services. The public expect that. There is an expectation out there that technology impacts the way we live our lives. And as transport operators, we're not insulated from that. That pressure will grow for local transport operators. You will need to react to that. You will see increasing public desire to be able to purchase tickets on the mobile phone, to be able to travel around our towns and cities in the same way you can travel around London with the Oyster principle. We will see that grow. We have to be prepared to deal with that. We have to be ready for that. The thing is around that, and as an engineer, I am obviously very keen in the technology we use. I am very keen in the black boxes that we buy, the way we engineer services, the way we buy things, and that's great, and it's important that engineers do that, but we shouldn't do that, we shouldn't lose sight of the fact that it isn't about the technology. It's about the services we offer. It's about how we do things better, more efficiently, how we ensure that as new technology comes along, we incorporate it. We have seen recently quite a few disruptive technologies. We've seen the rise of e-scooters, which may be good, may be bad, who knows, but they're here and they're not going away. We have to, as a country, adopt that. The same will happen around disruptive forms of public transport. The same will happen around disruptive technologies in vehicles. The same will happen around the various forms of app that people can use to understand how to travel around the network, that will give information that isn't necessarily our information. It's information gathered and sourced somewhere else. We have to realize that the world is changing in that way, and we have to be part of that. So there are some big challenges coming. There are some big challenges about how we move forward. And government is responding to that. We're doing a number of things at the moment to help with that. And in terms of how we use technology, how we deliver services better, whether those services are public transport, whether they're micromobility services, whether they're maintenance services, and how we maintain the asset and understand the asset, and develop it and support it and actually get a real understanding of where we should be investing in maintenance. All those things require some kind of government input. It's not our job to build the end products. It's not our job to tell you how to do your job. We think our job is to intervene where we need to. And that really is in two ways. We primarily intervene in terms of developing standards, developing ways of delivering services, so that as you are ready, for example, to digitize your traffic regulation orders, there is a structure to do that. We're doing that now. We're developing a service called DTRO, the Digital Traffic Regulation Order service, which is about giving you the opportunity to do that. And that will become essential to be able to work with connected vehicles in the future, having that record available. We very recently announced the National Parking Platform development. And again, this is about opening up the way we pay for parking, the way we understand where parking is, the way we find parking, the way we pay for it using one app, not the 18 apps we need on our phones at the moment. We're working to develop that. That doesn't mean we're nationalising parking, far from it. It means that we're providing a platform to allow the public sector and private sector operators in the parking sector to be able to work in new ways that better serves the public. We're continuing to do work around developing how we think about road maintenance. So Street Manager is a product we've had for a number of years now. We've very recently talked about how we can implement lane rental more. We have some authorities that are doing that. How can we do that nationally? How can we think more about how local authorities work with utilities and work with people working in the highway to make the experience of the public in negotiating roadworks and road closures better than it is now. We want to help in that. We have work around wider data standards. So ultimately, as we start to see more data available across transport, and as people start to build services that can amalgamate data and use data more widely, we have the structure to allow local authorities to share their data in an open way, to be part of that, to be able to get some value out of the data that you already have. And trust me, you have a lot of valuable data, even if you don't currently realise that. There's a lot of initiatives going on in the background. And where necessary, we can also legislate. It's not something we do as a first step, but where there are particular areas where legislation is required or where statutory guidance is required to move a sector, move a market, move an area into where it should be, we can do that. We did that with BODS, the Bus Open Data Service, which is about ensuring that we get good open data about bus services so we can provide national, high-quality, real-time information for bus users. That required some legislation, and we were able to do that. These are the types of things that government can do to help the sector. Now, a couple of things I've just mentioned there, national parking platform and the move to think about lane rental, for example. Many of you may well have realised we're actually unveiled on Monday this week. And Mark Harper, the Secretary of State for Transport, spoke at the Conservative Party conference, not a million miles away from here in Manchester. And he set out our plan, our vision, our plan for drivers, which is about how we develop services for road users. And there's a lot in there, and I'm not going to go through it all, and there are lots of initiatives that cover a whole range of areas where the government thinks it needs to act. But there are some particular ones I am interested in. A national parking platform is one. The announcement that we will be developing the national parking platform to a national beta level is a major announcement. We've announced consultations around, as I say, lane rental, around how things like box junctions and bus lanes are used and regulated by local authorities, how the model of local authority enforcement works. That's something that we will be investigating. But particularly the thing I'm interested in, I think the thing that I've spoken to some of you around already, that you've already picked up on, is we were able on Monday to announce £70 million for traffic signal maintenance and urban traffic control. Now, I've been working in urban traffic control for longer than I care to remember, 1980 something or other, and I'm pretty sure this is by far the biggest single investment government has ever made in the sector. And I think it's going to be transformational in how we support the maintenance of traffic technology in this country. And that's all I'm going to say about it, because I don't want to say any more, because I don't want you all to leave at lunchtime tomorrow, because I'm going to be on straight after lunch tomorrow, and it is tomorrow, not this afternoon. I had a slight shock there when it was announced as this afternoon, because it's tomorrow, but tomorrow straight after lunch I will be explaining exactly what we're doing around that. I'll be giving some more detail about how those funds will work. So if you're a local authority, you should be interested in that, because there are funds you can bid into. If you're part of the supply chain, you should be interested in that, because there is an opportunity for you to sell goods and services to deliver this programme. So I do hope to see many of you here tomorrow afternoon for me to talk about that. So the last thing I want to talk about, just for a minute, is the Transport Technology Forum that's already been mentioned, that Paula mentioned, that is a really important service that LCRIG deliver for the Department for Transport. The Transport Technology Forum is that big tent so that we can all get in and talk freely. It's not sponsored by any company. Sponsorship is great. It's really great to see what Galliford Try and Keeley have done here. But it's not sponsored. It's run by government. It's a space where we all talk freely about the challenges around transport technology. The support that LCRIG give in running that is vital, and the support that the TTF will give in how we manage funding, how we manage the £70 million we're going to be allocating. The way that the TTF supports activities around connected vehicles, around support for data standards, traffic signalling, other areas is vital. We have a number of working groups, and if you're interested in the working groups, you should get involved in them, because the TTF increasingly, it's on the same arc as LCRIG, it's growing exponentially, and that's a great thing to see. But if you're interested in traffic technology, please get involved in the TTF. Please come to speak to me or one of the LCRIG staff, and we can help you with that. And on that note, I would like to hand back to Paula for the rest of the agenda. Thank you.
So thank you for bearing with us, but I think for me, I didn't want you guys to miss that for once we've had an announcement that coincides with DFT colleagues being here. And as Darren said, you know, £70 million is an incredible amount of money for local authorities, so do keep an eye on that. I think the other thing I just wanted to remind people of is the Slido for DFT on your tables, particularly if you're a local authority or a supply chain member, and also for Carla, who's doing an EDI survey later today. The other thing I also want to say is just to remind people that when we break for coffee, which because of the change in the agenda and the keynote speaker sort of not being here, we're actually going to have coffee start at around about 10:20, 10:30. We do know a number of the buses got here quite late, so people haven't had a chance to go into the exhibition area and have a sort of a chat, so we'll do that. Also, if you were handed a golden envelope outside the building, that wasn't from us. So you always know what you've made it when there's a demonstration outside. So I think that's probably a good sign. Frank, I would like to welcome you to the stage to talk about the Institute of Collaborative Working. And the important thing is that for me, this is part of the journey that LCRIG has been on. And then after the coffee break, we will move into some real meaty agendas for the rest of today and tomorrow. Thank you.